The most important part of a YouTube video isn't the clickable thumbnail or the intriguing title. It isn't the time of day you post or the shirt you wear. You can do everything right. But if you don't have this one thing in check, your video won't stick in the minds of your audience members. So let's get into the most important part of a YouTube video. I remember once I had a strategy intensive with a client, and this client spent several thousands of dollars, flew out to me to spend the entire day creating their entire strategy, everything. And some of the first questions she asked me were things like, what kind of backgrounds should I have in my videos? What camera should I film with? What outfit should I wear? And these are all very common and very valid questions. And I would love to answer any and every question you have. There are no stupid questions, only the ones you don't ask, right? Is that how the saying goes? And by the way, I want you to leave me a comment down below telling me the question you would ask me if you had the chance. Just ask me one question. Maybe I'll answer it in an upcoming video. But I always want to make sure that my clients get the information that's going to make the biggest impact and profit first. So what camera should you use? The one you have. What should you wear on camera? Whatever feels genuinely like you. Your audience just wants you to be uniquely yourself. And I want you to be able to turn your content into cash flow so we can make that American dream of financial freedom come true for you. When I'm meeting with a client, my goal is to do more than just solidify their branding or plan out their filming. It's about their messaging that's going to lead to profit. When I get on a call with one of my clients when they first get started with us, it's all about pulling their stories out of them. And I ask so many really deep questions, and then my job is to dig in deeper. I've had some grown men even cry on some of these onboarding calls. Not that I take pride in making people cry, but I do take a little pride in the fact that when you hit on that emotion, that is where you create connection in your content. Do you know why this is so important when it comes to your cash flow? I'm not saying you have to make people cry, but what does emotion have to do with sales? People buy based on emotion. They buy emotionally and then they justify logically. How many of you have bought something, you made a purchase decision that was emotional, but maybe not practical? That's why when I start my videos, I never start them with just cold hard facts. That's logic. We're talking about stories so that you can appeal to a human and not just a buyer. I'm gonna get into some of these tactics to creating content that emotionally sells in any video you create, but first, have you subscribed to my channel yet? I put out new videos about video marketing and business acceleration every single week, so go ahead and hit that red button and subscribe. Do you ever notice this in your own scrolling, your own social media behavior? Like, it's easy to click and read content that's sad or makes you kind of angry because it evokes this curiosity and you feel that intrigue to know the details. Happy content or content that makes you laugh or gives you that wow factor is what gets clicks and also gets shared the most, because if you share too much of the sad stuff, you'd just seem like a Debbie Downer. So you have to share more of the good stuff in general. More than just clicks and shares, you can also appeal to people's primal emotions to increase conversions and sales. But remember, it's not just with cold hard facts. How many of us are quick to say in our content the facts? Like, when you create X, it'll solve Y problem. That language is speaking to the left half of the brain. The left side of your brain is the logical side, which is still important to speak to after the emotion. The left is more about the cold hard facts, the words and the numbers. The right side is about feelings. Here's a random question for you. Have you ever seen a cute baby and you were like, oh my gosh, I just want to squeeze you. I just want to eat your face. What a weird thing to say. I have talked about this on my Instagram stories and a ton of you admitted it. It's an actual thing. Look it up. It's called cute aggression. And I have a point here of how this relates back to your sales. It's not that we actually want to harm these adorable tiny creatures that we love, but there's actually a hormonal and emotional response. And this is why your messaging is the most important part of any video that you create. There was actually a study done at Yale that explained the reason why we have this pent-up aggression over cute pictures is that when we see something cute like a baby, it drives us to want to take care of it. But we can't reach through our computer screen to cuddle it, so we get this response of like this frustration and then aggression. That's a study I'd like to be a part of, just look at cute puppies all day. So how does this affect your sales? I'm not necessarily saying that you just post cute pictures of puppies on your content. Maybe it would help. You can split test that. But what does this tell you about your ability to influence your audience to buy from you? Doesn't it demonstrate for you that with the right content, you're able to directly reach the emotion and decision centers of the brain? How can you include in your content to play to the wow factor or make them laugh or tug at their heartstrings? When you can share your content with an emotional journey, your stories hold power. One of my first clients I ever worked with was a plumbing company, and I could have just thought, plumbing is so boring, and just jumped to that conclusion and assumed it wouldn't work for social media. Or I could have also taken the route of Googling a bunch of fun facts about plumbing and made some silly graphics out of it, thrown in an animated toilet in the mix. That probably would have been fine too. That was actually my first route. That was all I knew how to do back then. But as I spent more time with this company, I started to get to know the employees, and I had the biggest change of heart. I worked with them for almost 3 years, and from that 3 years, I now know way more about plumbing than I ever bargained for, but it's not because I studied it or felt obligated to learn it as part of the job. You know that saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care? Over my 3 years working with them, I observed how they would go the extra mile. I remember there was a day it snowed a lot. In Canada, where I'm from, it snows a lot. And this isn't like, someplace they get a little dusting of snow and the city shuts down. Like, it's up to my knees, shoveling multiple times a day. But one of the service techs said that he was going to go stop by a client's house that he'd been to the other day so that he could shovel her walkway. She was an elderly lady living alone, and he knew that she would have trouble doing it by herself. And they did things like this all the time. I got to know how a lot of these guys were volunteer coaches for kids' sports leagues, how they got involved in community events and fundraisers. And I was like, I can't just post about furnace filters and dripping faucets. This city needs to know how awesome these guys are. And I realized that I began to adore their company because they adored their company. So then I started creating content based on how they were. I got to know the people that made up this company to tell their stories. Because remember, we want to appeal to a human, not a buyer. So with the content, we shared and celebrated their families, we talked about their hobbies, we showcased other causes and communities that they were involved in. And then, this was funny, I learned that one guy, one of the service technicians, had a knack for improv and impressions. And somehow when we were talking, he put on an Australian accent, and we came up with the hilarious idea to create a character named Plumber Dundee. And we created hilarious videos about Plumber Dundee and build these memorable stories out of the passion these people had for their business. So here are the basic steps to creating impactful content that actually converts. Step 1 is to build your own original content that's authentic to you and your stories. Step 2, drive impact with that thing. Now, obviously, we're oversimplifying it here, but I promise you, when you lead with a story, the impact and profit comes so much easier and with less effort. If you want to use your message to effortlessly ascend your leads into high-ticket sales, you need to come to my next free private training where I'm actually going to give you my highest converting, most revenue-generating campaigns that I've used. You can click the link in the video description to secure your spot, and I will break down the exact steps so you can plug and play your way to a 7-figure business. What should you... I'm going to get into some of the tactics to creating or makes you angry because it evokes curiosity. Invokes? Is it evoke or invokes? That language is speaking to the left. I got to know the people that made up. I got to know we got him talking in an Australian accent. We came up, somehow we were talking and he... What else?